Hi everyone. I'm here to tell you why you don't have an AI problem, but you actually have more of a systems problem and an adaptation problem. And I need to get rid of that. But I'll explain to you in a second. So, when I talk to people, friends, family, a lot of my friends and family and other business owners, but some are friends and family, they all treat the AI tools in silos. They treat the tools as standalone apps, and they don't have the tools connected to lots of their working environments like their Google Drive, their Google Calendar, their CRM, Slacks, Gmail. They mostly just talk to ChatGPT and ask it a question like they would ask, like, yeah, they mostly talk to ChatGPT and ask it a question. And I'm using ChatGPT specifically because that's what everyone uses, to some degree. I like Claude too, but they mostly talk to GPT and Claude as standalone apps. They don't get this agentic aspect of the tools. And it made me realize like the main problem that other people were having that I don't have is they don't have a hub for a lot of their information. And they also don't know how to adopt the tools, because they treat it like Google. They treat it like they're Googling something when in reality, these tools can do more than just searching on Google. You can get a lot of depth and breadth with some of these tools, and you can get really shallow with some of them too. But let's stick to the hub and Notion. I hate necessarily telling people to use Notion because it feels like I'm just advertising or selling this one tool, but I'm really not. I just have identified that this is the best tool to act as your central hub for a number of reasons. One, it can pull in your existing CRM. Two, it can handle client intakes. Three, it can be a space for your sales team and all your other teams. Four, it connects to your Gmail, it connects to your Google Calendar, Microsoft Teams. All of these different tools that you already use can be connected to Notion. And the beauty of that is that in Notion, you get this really beautiful custom hub. And what do you do with this hub? The hub is just a place for all your information to be pulled into and for information to be passed around from. You need to think about AI tools less like standalone apps, and you need to start thinking about them like a plumber. When you're in your house and you have water, it's okay if you have water outside the house on in like a well, and you walk to the well, you throw your bucket in, you pull the water up, and then you take your water into the house, right? That's just you doing that manual labor. Every time you need water, you go to the well. But in reality, when it comes to these AI tools, you need to think like a plumber, and you need to hire a plumber for the tools. Like I could be your plumber for the tools. And what that would enable is instead of you always going to the well to pull up water, water will seamlessly flow through your building. And in this case, the water would be your information. LLMs thrive with more context, and they thrive in helping you save time by moving around your information and helping you notify whatever you need to be informed on. But the problem is that most people, almost 99.9% of the people I conversate with, tell me how they use AI tools, and it's always standalone apps. People are either just paying for one tool or they treat it like Google, but they don't enable the tools to flow seamlessly. They don't allow the tools to interact with their other tools, their existing base of tools. And you're creating so much more friction in your business, not by default, but you are for the AI tools, because they thrive when they know that they can access your CRM and look up all the people in that business and find out the emails for all the different people in that business, or find out how much in volume you've done with that business, while at the same time looking at your Gmail to see the emails you've exchanged over work with that business, while at the same time being able to look at your Google Calendar and say, hey, you're free next week Tuesday, maybe we could recommend this time for this meeting with the person, while at the same time being able to draft or pre-draft maybe 3 or 4 bullet points for the email you will send to that person before you have a meeting. You know, it's not so much standalone, or I'm just going to ask ChatGPT about this business and what they do. It really is more about seamless connection, piping, infrastructure, systems really, at the core is what you need. And the thing is that most businesses, or all businesses, have a system. It's just not written down sometimes, and it hasn't really been refined to the point where it could get, traction, or it could get written down. And I'm here to just convince you that you should definitely hire somebody if you're a business who wants to thrive in this fast-paced environment. You should hire somebody to kind of help you adopt these tools. Most people are so obsessed with the idea of if AI is a bubble or not, when you should really just be asking yourself if the stock market gets red. Or at least this is the question I phrased for somebody who told me AI is a bubble last week. And I told them, if everything on the stock market goes red and you see that, nobody's investing in AI anymore, are you going to stop using Claude, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, or any of these tools? And I said no. And I said, well, maybe we can debate data center builds and all this stuff, but what does that have to do with you, the individual? You need the tools for your work. So my thing, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to convince you that you should have Notion as the hub of your AI tools and your toolage. But I'm also really trying to tell you the importance of systems and your workflows being not just automated, but also being supported at different points throughout your businesses. That is how most people are gaining maximum advantage when it comes to these tools. It's that sales team that has drafts for them on a Monday morning by a bunch of agents based off the emails that they had received over the weekend on Friday. And the salespeople just looking and saying, yeah, you know what, these 3 bullet points make sense. I would add this 4th bullet point to the email, wrap it up, send it out. It's that person who can look at the company's inventory, but without necessarily spending their time saying, oh, I'm going to find the company's inventory, but actually telling one of the AI tools in Notion to be hey, look at this inventory database while working in Notion, and just say, look at the inventory through our CRM on Airtable and tell us what we did in sales last week, or tell us how much we have in the storage of this warehouse, or how much we have at XYZ location, right? But still working in the same place. My thing is reducing friction. My thing is helping businesses adopt these tools. And I really genuinely believe that these AI tools are as good as they need to be to make a huge difference in different businesses. You just don't know how to adopt them because, 1, your information is siloed. 2, you treat the apps as standalone apps. And 3, you don't have a hub. You don't have a place for all of this stuff. And then you, your team, and your business have this adaptation bottleneck where you can't just adopt it because you don't know how to adopt it. But yeah, that's my little spiel on this. And I hope this informs you on how your life could look like when you adopt these tools, how much time you could save when you adopt these tools, and how much more productive, because everybody wants to be more productive, you know. But I will give you the one caveat throughout all of this stuff. The one caveat is that you probably will be doing more work, all right? And I'll tell you why, because that's not necessarily what this video is about, but I'll tell you why in a second. You know, technology saves time, and technology isn't just limited to digital technology, but it's also, you know, physical technology like the hammer. When you could only, I'm not going to use the hammer example, but there has never been a point in time where humans created technology to aid themselves and it didn't create more work for them. It always just creates more work for you. Not always in the worst of ways. This is where the truth is. And sometimes it ends up being in the best of ways. But more work can be, you know, you actually have to learn the tools. You actually have to adopt them. You actually have to practice with them and play with them and be a little bit experimental with them, right? That does take up a little bit more of your time. But it also just saves time in the long run. If you look at the long arc of things, you will save time and get way more done, you know, in with your existing team right now. And I'm not a big fan of replacing people with AI tools. I actually don't preach that at all. I actually preach more so how to aid your current team and aid individuals on your team to adopt these tools, so that the business can run more smoothly. You know, I want people's businesses to thrive. I want them to be able to say, wow, like, yeah, you know, we used to spend so much time doing this last week. Now we could just focus on actually talking to customers instead of trying to prep for every meeting that comes up. You know, we could spend a lot more time talking to customers. We probably do like one meeting per week from the previous week, and then that sets us up for next week. You know, we get like a recap on the company every week without necessarily having to go through everything line by line by ourselves. Um, but yeah, you know, I've had this conversation with so many people, and I have what I call two cohorts when it comes to this. There's like the people who have adopted AI and in all this seamless flow and have a hub and have like things connected, and there's individuals who have just not done that at all. There's like they treat it's almost actually, yes, the two hubs could be this: people who treat AI as standalone tools and people who have seamlessly connected them. Even this image that we're looking at right here, this Notion Hub image that I haven't touched at all, I created this visual in Figma just because I had this idea and I wanted to record the video, and I just explained everything to Claude, and I told Claude, you know, could you create like a little chart for me to show people? Like, if I wanted to go further, obviously I could just add more images, but even the fact that Claude helped me do this, let me see if I can pull up that chart, right? Yeah. So yeah, and then you just see it like make different versions of it. Just access my Figma because it's not being treated as a standalone tool. It's connected to my Figma, so it gets to update my Figma on or create this Figma board so I can conversate with people and share them like this idea, you know. But yes, am I doing more work? Yeah, I'm making a video and I'm sharing all these thoughts, but at the same time, you know, it was definitely faster than me drawing all of this in Figma right now because I have something else to do when it comes to work. And it comes to like reaching out to other businesses. So my point being, you're probably not having an AI problem in the sense that AI doesn't do anything. You're probably just not using the tools appropriately and you still have them really siloed. And what you should do is connect them or hire somebody like me to help you connect them, to help you look at all the existing stack of tools you have and audit your business. And I will also say this: do be aware that there is no one size fits all for AI when it comes to tool selection. It's actually really, really much more of a custom based thing. Every business has a unique set of problems and a unique set of ways to which they work, and all of that stuff needs to be customly handled. It needs to be looked after the way the existing users at the business, the existing owners, the existing operators, the existing employees actually work. There is no one size or one solution to any of these AI tool stuff. Literally, it's just piping. Literally, the plumbing analogy comes in again. Every house has, like, roughly, you need pipes, right? If you're a plumber, you need pipes, you need some glue, you need, taps, you need pressure points, triggers, and all these other things. Those you roughly know you need. But the piping on the land and in the house and how certain points connect is very, very different for each house. That's my little rant. I don't even know if I convinced you that Notion should be the hub, because I didn't really get into Notion itself. But if I were to say why, I guess that isn't my little rant, but if I could say why Notion should be your hub, it's because it's the one tool out of all the other tools, and you see how I refer to AI as tools because that's what it is, but it's the one tool out of all the other tools that can act in the middle, but also really adopt this like AI experience in the middle too. What does that mean? You can connect your Notion to all your existing CRMs, your Google Suites, Microsoft Suite, your Slack. All these things can be connected to your Notion. But at the same time, in Notion, you have this chat interface that allows you pick all the different AI models that already exist within, the realm of AI. So if you're somebody who likes using ChatGPT on your team, but you've heard about Claude, but you don't want to pay for a Claude subscription, while working in Notion, you still have access to all the Claude models and all the Gemini models, right? And you have access to some open source models. And all your work still stays there. It's the CRMs are still alive. Everything is still being pulled into that space, right? So it's like there's a like subscription buffer going down, but at the same time, you also have the ability to build agents, AI agents in Notion, and agents can do all sorts of things for you. They can give you a meeting brief. They can give you like a weekly morning like brief. They can give you at the end of the week a synopsis that looks at certain spaces that you want to pay attention. Maybe you want to look at how much you did in revenue this week. Maybe you want to look at how much you did in sales this week. Maybe you want to look at how many people you outreach to. Like, if you want that kind of information looked at and delivered to you in one space, you can build an AI agent that helps you look at all the databases that need to be looked at for that thing, looks at all the emails that you feel like needs to be looked at for that thing, and we can write skills and prompts that template pull out the information the way it needs to be presented to you. But this right here is my little spiel on Notion and AI and the toolage and how you should use it. And I hope to see you soon and help you and your team get from literally novice to a point where you guys are like, I can't believe that this is like life. Honestly, I actually want business owners to dream about this moment where they wake up in the morning and they're not necessarily worried about what problems they're going to find in the business, because there's some of like that's already solved for, where it's like, I know how much we did in revenue last week because I got like a morning brief this Monday morning. I know how much we did this last month in sales. I know how much this person pulled off in sales this last week. I know what we need to do for our marketing campaign. Because I got all of these things delivered to me. It's really much and that's how time gets saved in all of this. It's not so much time being saved by the AI doing your work for you. It's literally a little bit, you become the decision maker a lot more than the actual, day-to-day technician for certain things. You don't have to watch over every little thing anymore, and you still will watch over lots of things, trust me, but you do have more decision making aspect and more time to do the work. If like you work for an architecture firm, you will get more time to actually do the architecture. If you work for a design studio, you get more time to do the design work. If you work for I don't know, you sell apartments, you get more time to sell apartments because, whenever clients reach out, there's, automated emails that go out, they fill out forms, fill out, and those forms group clients into certain boxes, and then you get like the different apartments that fall into their price range sent to them ahead of time, and they're like, okay, we want a tour, and then you have to systemize some of these things and to truly adopt these AI tools. And yeah, I'm helping businesses do this, and it's very fun, honestly, because there isn't really a one size fits all, and it's always cool to solve this problem for each business and try to help them get to that point where they feel like they've truly adopted the tools and their teams feel like they're running efficiently. um and yeah, I can't wait to help some of you. It's fun. It's so fun. Peace.